Hey guys, it's Briggs. How are you? I hope you guys are all having a beautiful, relaxing time during your COVID, although I have no doubt that there have been many things stirring up. In essence, this is a time of the Great Awakening. What that means is we are all inevitably moving through quite a speedy ascension process. Through this process, many star seeds, I think, are under a lot of pressure under the microscope. And please understand that there are many categories of star seeds or spiritual or light workers, let's call it that. Let's put it under the banner of light workers. Many of us are moving through a lot of stress points at this point in time. So to keep it short and simple, I'll be doing a lot of other live events on Facebook. But this particular video is chatting to the most difficult things about being a spiritual teacher or starseed. So the first one really that I have is people have a lot of expectation of us. So I really abide by, or I teach 5 simple teachings, and that is non-judgment, non-expectation, non-attachment, unconditional love, and present moment. Just to keep things simple, I very much abide by the universal laws, and these are the natural laws, that we are all fragments of source creation or source consciousness, and so when people are sitting in expectation, it creates quite a lot of pressure for the star seed until their teachings begin to really filter through and are recognized that they have indeed come from a space of love. So yes, I'm not going to go deep into each and every point, but expectation is one of them. Okay. The second one is that people forget that we too are physical beings moving through a physical reality, having our own integration processes, our own faculties, meaning physical, emotional, mental, astral, and supramental or superconscious experiences. And that's really, in essence, all that we are doing as spiritual teachers and starseeds is teaching through our own experiences. Through our levels on the ascension ladder, if you want to call it that. So that's the second one. First one being there's a lot of expectation on us. The second one is that it's often forgotten that we too are physical beings moving through our own teachings, because everything, I've done a video on this before, everything is a Hogwarts. This is the experimental realm, this 3D realm where we are in a spiritual school. The third one I've got down here is people form attachments. So going back to those 5 points, we have people really attaching to us, and a lot of attachment comes from labeling. So possibly from that labeling point, and I think it's one of my other points further down the list, is idolization starts to occur, or you seek for your guru. I have no doubt that those spiritual teachers that are in alignment with a balanced, grounded, heart-centered teachings are very much reminding you and reminding you that we are only here to be an example, and that you or Mother Nature are downloading those teachings through your own experiences. We are only guides, and we're sharing information. So when attachments form and they are released or broken or dissembled or when those things happen to the attachment that you have with your spiritual teacher, guide, coach, healer, whatever you want, a facilitator, it becomes quite difficult for those people to detach and recreate a new label for that person. What else have I got here? Okay. Yeah, and the attachment also comes through these, people get attached to the feel-good vibration or the feel-good feelings that they receive from said teacher. And so an attachment forms there. My next point is that people are perplexed when hard and discerning teachers or teachings come from that said spiritual guide. So first of all, there's an attachment to these feel-good feelings because, of course, we have a plethora of lessons, and as we know in the advanced sort of teachings, is that it is all and nothing, and even though we are working in a non-dualistic sense, moving to the law of one, we are still experiencing dualism. So yes, we have these feel-good feelings that people get attached to, and then of course when hard discerning teachings come from that guide, it gets uncomfortable, and it's difficult for us as starseeds to hold the space for that continuously. So yes, that's another one. I have already mentioned judgment. So when we move, or when spiritual teachers move to hard discerning teachings, which a lot of you will be hearing now, especially from the indigos that are rising, or not so much rising, but being reinvigorated through the process that we are going through right now, through this COVID, where there are some hard, dark teachings coming through, or information. So yes, it does become a space where you begin to create judgment. And this is, please understand that all of this is okay. This is all within your path. This is all a process of upheaval and possible disempowerment to move through a recreation process or a creation process to re-empower you. So yes, we are at a very, very, very crucial time in history where a lot of starseeds are going to be judged for what they are saying, for the teachings that they may be sharing with people, or the ideologies, the information, etc., etc. So yes, this is a difficult space for a lot of starseeds. So for me, I'll probably do another video on this, but it's just a point where I can say, please, a massive shout out to every single light worker out there holding space, holding their ground, holding their frequency, centering themselves, grounding themselves, and moving through the never-ending process of integration. Another point is one of the difficult things about being a starseed is if you don't show your emotions, it is seen as you are bypassing. And if you do show your emotions, then clearly you're not the calm-centered guru that people have created this attachment of you being. So that's another one. And I know within there's a beautiful, I don't know who the guy is, he's also got a YouTube channel. There's a beautiful comedy skit about how spiritual people within the light worker community or spiritual community argue with each other, and we just point each other out on all things, and we're snookered at every moment. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So yeah, if you do show your emotions, you've deviated off the path of calm Zen guru. And if you don't show your emotions, you're bypassing your feelings, and that shadow work. So yes, that's another difficult one. Another one I've written down here is the misconception or perception that we only wear one hat, and that hat is spiritual Zen master, or guide for all, light warrior, all the time, in absolute grounded centered presence all the time. The difference between us is that our process of being grounded between incidents that possibly trigger us, whether they be emotional, mental, physical, psychic attacks, whatever the case may be, they are quite quick. So our integration period is quick based on our spiritual practice, our teachings, etc., etc. Whereas your normal sort of population that are not aligned with spiritual practice, is sort of like this. It's quite a sharp curve. So people have the misconception that we wear only one hat, and that dare we veer off of that, that the attachment to that role, it creates difficulty for us, and that becomes quite difficult. So the point I'm trying to make is we all wear many hats, and when we master each hat, And some of those hats are a 3D hat, you know. Sometimes some of us have got to get some work done. Some of us may be employers to employees. We've got to do 3D contract stuff. And it's difficult for us because we're always trying to hold a high vibratory 5D and up frequency without getting too bogged down on the density. But it is also essential for us to play different roles, and that can be confusing for some. Another one I've put here is that people will only hear and understand a teaching according to their level of consciousness at that point in time, meaning that they can only receive something based on what they have moved through in their personal and transpersonal healing spaces throughout their existence. So if they have had a lot of trauma and needed to work through a lot of trauma and it has not been closed yet, if they are provided with teachings that may trigger them more, you know, it's not something that the spiritual teacher is necessarily hoping to do as a re-trigger, but it may just do so based on the lack of integration through previous healing work that's been done. So this stuff takes time. Our lives, or you know, past lives of trauma, really, of trauma, unintegrated trauma creates a now point mishap or misalignment potentially with new teachings, is what I'm saying. So sometimes those teachings that we give can be misconstrued, misunderstood, and yeah, I think I'll end it there. Another one is there can be, through the relationship with teacher to student, or whatever you want to call it, there can be a potential disempowered state that is experienced by said student based on idolization of teachers. Again, a teacher can only teach so much in a certain period of time, and this is why spiritual work and our teachings through ascension takes so long. It's lifetimes, and it is multi-dimensional lives and timelines, where we really need to regather the fragmented aspects of ourselves, our oversoul experiences, the information that lies within those experiences. This is lifetimes of daily work, and that's where we come to that curve again, you know. The only difference is that we are able to integrate a little quicker, come back to center and grounded aspects quicker than others. Otherwise, we are still having our human experience, but again, the perception of us being more godly, or just, you know, again, I've used it before, the Zen gurus and in control of every aspect of our lives is your perception, and your reality is based on your perception. And that becomes hard for us because as spiritual teachers, we see this sort of playing around in your psyche, and you know, we only ever wish to say we are one. Come back to the natural laws, come back to the natural laws, come back to the natural laws, and the many teachings. And then the last one, it is difficult for us starseeds to be a human being, to be human. It is difficult for most of us to be human. This is an experimental space. It is our Hogwarts. It is difficult, but it's okay. If we move through our issues of mortality, which we are all dealing with at this point in time, which is why I work in the medicine space, you know, moving through spaces of ego death, and really facing your mortality and having those soul experiences is important. So I love to share with you guys. I am going to be beginning Facebook Live events and Zoom experiences where we can speak a little bit more one-on-one with regards to any issues that are appearing through your ascension process. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Please remember your spiritual teachers out there, all the light workers, going through their own stuff, having their human experience, moving through their fears, integrating as best they can to provide you with information on how you can cope. So big up and a beautiful love to all of you as well as them. We are one. Lots of love. Cheers.